Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Abdul Rahman and we are learning ECG. In previous two videos, we have discussed in details about ECG lead and cardiac axis. In this video, we will focus on the pacemakers of the heart. Let's go back to our whiteboard and see how it happened. Before going actually to the pacemaker, I want you to remind about something from the previous lecture. We know that we have two types of cardiac tissues. One is the conducting tissues and other one is the non-conducting tissues. Conducting tissues of the heart include SA node, AV node and Purkinje fibers, while non-conducting tissue include atria and ventricles. We also know that the conducting tissues of the heart were those who were having pacemaker potential, while non-conducting tissues do not have pacemaker potential under normal circumstances. What does it mean of having pacemaker potential? It means that these three tissues do not need any stimulus to generate the impulse. So these tissues don't need any stimulus to generate impulses because they have the property of automaticity. Automaticity means they can generate impulses automatically on their own. On the other hand, in the case of atria and ventricle, these are the tissue which need a stimulus to generate impulses. If there is no stimulus, they will not generate any impulse. So that is why they are not the conducting tissues and they are not having pacemaker potential. Now the question is how these tissues are having automaticity. From the previous video we remember their resting membrane potential was upsloping, which was achieving some threshold potential and leading to depolarization, and again the cycle continues. So this was their resting membrane potential which was upsloping and they were achieving a specific threshold potential and ultimately leading to generation of action potential or depolarization. So this was how these three tissues were generating impulses or they were having property of automaticity. So with this discussion, at least we can establish one fact that we need either threshold potential or some stimulus to generate an impulse in the heart. In case of conducting tissue, we need a threshold potential to be achieved, and in case of non-conducting tissue, we need a stimulus to be there to generate an impulse. Okay, so if we have either one of them, we can generate the impulse. So just keep this fact in mind. I also want you to tell that these non-conducting tissues, yes, under normal circumstances, they don't have the potential of automaticity or they don't have the potential of pacemaking. What does I mean when I say normal circumstances? Normal circumstances mean when there is no ischemia, no hypoxia, no electrolyte imbalance, there is no increased sympathetic drive or no thyrotoxicosis, these tissues will not be generating impulses on their own. But if there is any of these above mentioned abnormalities, which include hypoxia or any injury to the heart tissue, ischemia, any electrolyte imbalance, any drug effect, then these tissues will also be having ability of generating impulse on their own, whether by achieving threshold potential or by receiving a stimulus from either sympathetic drive or you can say different electrolyte imbalances or some drug effect. So this was it for this portion. So this was our fact number 1, that we need either threshold potential or some stimulus to generate an impulse. Now let's move to our main pacemakers of the heart. So this was our heart and we know that we have SA node which generate impulses and the impulsive will depolarize the atria and it will reach AV node. After that we have bundle of fish, and left and right bundle branches, and then finally we have different Purkinje fiber which goes to each cells of the both ventricle and depolarizes the ventricle. So this was what is happening normally. Now we have, I would like to mention that we have different types of tissue which I have already mentioned above. First one is SA node. SA node has ability to generate impulses at the rate of 60 to 100 beats per minute. This is their intrinsic ability, and it depends upon how fast it is achieving threshold potential. I will explain just after some time. And after that we have atrial cells, atrial tissue, and these atrial tissues have ability to generate impulses at the rate of 60 to 80 beats per minute. And after that we have this nodal area. This nodal area is also called junctional area because it is at the junction of atria and ventricle. So this junctional area has the ability to generate impulses at the rate of 40 to 60 beats per minute. And after that we have the ventricle, and there can be any focus in the ventricle. So if any focus in the ventricle is generating impulses, it would be very slow. It will be less than 50 beats per minute. So these are the intrinsic automaticity or intrinsic pacemaker potential of different tissues. If SA node is working, it can generate impulses at this rate. If we have any electrolyte abnormality which is causing atrial cells to depolarize, it will cause them to depolarize at the rate of 60 to 80. If junction is depolarizing, it will depolarize at the rate of 40 to 60. And if any electrolyte abnormality, ischemia, hypoxia, or any injury to the ventricles is making a specific focus which is generating impulses, it will generate impulses at the rate of less than 50 beats per minute. So this is the rate of different pacemakers of the heart. These are different pacemakers of the heart, and I will explain how these pacemakers interact with each other later on. This was our fact number 2. And there is one more thing to emphasize on, that is the conduction velocity. Conduction velocity means that how fast impulse is traveling through these tissues from SA node to atria to junction to ventricle from Purkinje fibers. So the rate of conduction depends upon the gap junction. These are our cardiomyocytes, and we know that we have gap junction between cardiac cells. So these gap junction, if they are more in number, the velocity will be higher, and if the gap junctions are less in number, the conduction velocity will be lower. So we have the maximum gap junction in Purkinje fibers. So the rate of conduction in Purkinje fiber is 2 to 4 meter per second. This was how fast the impulse was traveling, 2 to 4 meter per second from the Purkinje fiber. In case of atria or ventricle tissue, atrial or ventricle tissues, the rate is much lower, it is 0.5 meter per second. And it is the slowest in case of junction or AV node, which will be 0.05 meter per second. So this is why when atria were depolarizing, it is depolarizing a little bit slower, and then we have a AV nodal delay because the impulse will be slowest in AV node, and then Purkinje fiber will be rapidly depolarize the ventricle, and this will be shortest because it is traveling very rapidly from at the speed of velocity of 2 to 4 meter per second, and then we have the repolarization. So whenever an impulse is generating in SA node, it will go to AV node and it will travel through Purkinje fibers. This is option number 1. An impulse can be generated in some focus in the atria. It will again go to AV node and then again will travel by Purkinje fiber. And the third option, impulse can be generated in the junction and again it will go to Purkinje fiber and depolarize the ventricle. So whether impulse is generating in the atria, in SA node, or in the atria, or in the junctional area, the ultimately impulse will follow the Purkinje fiber, which are the fast conducting tissues. So the ultimately QRS complex will be narrower because it is following the normal pathway to conduct both of the ventricles. Okay, so we can establish one fact that if impulse is generating from SA node, our QRS will be narrow. If it is generating in the atria, our QRS will be narrow. If it is generating in the junction, our QRS will still be narrow. There can be the problem in P wave in atrial depolarization area, but there will be no problem in QRS complex. On the other hand, if impulse is generating in the ventricle, what will happen? As I told that ventricles are slowly conducting area. If impulse is generating over here, how it will depolarize the other ventricle and the whole of this ventricle, it will be slower to depolarize because its depolarizing velocity is much slower than the Purkinje fiber. So if impulse is generating in the ventricle, what will happen? We will be having a wide QRS complex, mean it will take a more time to depolarize ventricle. So our QRS complex will be more than 120 millisecond because it is traveling through the ventricle tissue, and we know that ventricular tissue are not the conducting fibers, they are the non-conducting tissues. So that's why the impulse will be flowing through ventricular tissue in much slower rate as compared to the Purkinje fibers. So this is why all the rhythms which are being generated from the ventricle will be having a wide QRS complex. Okay, so this was our concept number 3. Okay, we will just keep this in mind, and now let's move further. Now I would like you to forget about this SA node, this automaticity, and forget about even ECG, and let's focus on another thing. I will give you an example. For example, you are working in a company, and what happens in the company? We have a chairman, and we have a vice chairman, and then we have a manager, and then we have staff. This is the normal hierarchy or normal, you can say, workforce of any company. There would be a chairman, vice chairman, then manager, and then there will be staff. So let's say that our chairman he is the chairman because he is having the ability to work faster. He can work at the rate of 60 to 100 beats per minute. Our chairman is the fastest man in our company. That is why he is the chairman, and he is having ability to work at the rate of 60 to 100 beats per minute. Our vice chairman is next to the chairman. He is having pretty good ability to work, but it is less than the chairman, and it can work at the rate of 60 to 80 beats per minute. And after that our manager will come, which can work at the rate of 40 to 60 beats per minute. And after that our working force, the staff, will come, and that can work only at the rate of less than 50 beats per minute. So let's say that our chairman is present in the company. When the chairman will be present and he will be working at this rate 60 to 100, then he will make vice chairman and the manager and the staff to work at the same rate. So when chairman will be there, when chairman will be on board, it will make all of them to work at the same rate as he is working, that is 60 to 100 beats per minute. If let's say in any case our chairman is absent, chairman is not there, then what will happen? While chairman will take control and it will start working at its own ability. His ability is maximum 60 to 80 beats per minute, less than the chairman. It will still run the company but at a slow rate as compared to the chairman. So it will make manager and staff to work at its own rate, which is 60 to 80 beats per minute. If in any circumstances our vice chairman is also absent and he is not there, then manager will take control and manager will start running the company at its own rate, which is 40 to 60 beats per minute, and it will make the staff to work at the same rate. And if in any severe circumstances manager is also absent, then only staff will be there and staff will be working on their own, which would be very slow. It would be less than 50 beats per minute. So this is exactly what is happening in our heart. I will make another heart. This is exactly what is happening in our heart. Our SA node is the chairman. Then comes the atrial nodes, any tissue in the atria, that will be the vice chairman. Then comes the junction, which would be our manager, and after that there will be ventricular tissues, which will be main working force of the heart, and they are our staff. So when SA node is working like the chairman, when SA node is beating at the rate of 60 to 100 beats per minute, it will make atrial tissue to beat at the same rate, it will make junctional tissue to beat at the same rate, and it will make ventricle to beat at the same rate of 60 to 100. In any circumstances, if SA node is not working, there might be any injury to the SA node, or there might be any electrolyte imbalances or increased vagal stimulus to SA node. That SA node is not working, then some of the atrial node will take control. So vice chairman will take control. It will make all of them, junction and ventricle, it will make all of them to beat at the rate of 60 to 80. And then in case atrial node is also not working, then junction will take control and it will run the heart. And then junction is also not working, then ventricle will take control and it will make the heart beat at the rate of less than 50 beats per minute. Okay, so this is exactly what is happening. So when SA node is working, then SA node is our pacemaker. If SA node is absent, then atria are our pacemaker. If atria is also absent, then junction is our pacemaker. And if junction is also not working, there is no junctional node, then some node in the ventricle will be our pacemaker. And if ventricle is also not working, then we don't have any pacemaker, and there will be asystole and there will be death. So Allah Almighty has created different pacemakers in our heart as a fail-safe mechanism, that if some superior is not working, then someone else will take control and start and keep the heart beating, so that to prevent the heart from dying. So this is what exactly happened in our atria. So this was just an layman example. Let me take you back to electrophysiology, and I will show you how exactly this happened. So this picture I made to show that how exactly all of these things happen in our heart. So this was our SA node, which was beating at the rate of 60 to 100 beats per minute. I have made the shape of action potential which is generating in the SA node. We know that our SA node action potential will be upsloping. So it was having upsloping action potential and it was beating at the rate of, let's say, 100, not 60 to 100. Let's say it is beating at the rate of 100. And atria was beating at the rate of 80, ventricle was beating at the rate of 60, and junction, and ventricle was beating at the rate of 40. Let's say like this, and this is our ECG which will be generated after the cumulative effect of all of these action potentials. So let's see what happen. Normally what happen, if SA node is working, it will generate impulse. Our first ECG beat is there. Now let's see what happens in the second ECG beat. So after some time, all of these action potentials are going towards the threshold potential, and they are waiting to threshold potential to be achieved, and whoever will achieve threshold potential earlier will generate an impulse. So the rate of SA node was the highest, so SA node will achieve threshold potential earlier than all of the others. So SA node will achieve a threshold potential over here. What will it cause? It will generate an impulse, it will depolarize, it will generate an impulse, and this impulse will act as a stimulus to the atria. So atrial tissue didn't achieve their threshold potential yet, but SA node gave him a stimulus. As I told you, we need either threshold potential to be achieved or some stimulus to generate an impulse. So SA node gave the atria a stimulus, and atria will depolarize over here instead of here. And similar will happen to the junction. Junctional area did not achieve its threshold potential yet, but it received a impulse, a stimulus over here, and it will generate impulse over here. And similar will happen to the ventricle, and ultimately we will be having the second beat, and second beat will be coincide with our SA node. So this is how the superior node will control all of its subordinates. So SA node generate impulses earlier, it will make atria, junctional area and ventricle to generate impulses at its own rate, which was 100 beats per minute. So that's why our ECG, we had an ECG like this. So similar will happen here. Again SA node will achieve threshold potential before atria, before AV node or junctional area, and before even ventricles, and will generate the third beat. So this is what is happening in normal circumstances, and you know that in some case if SA node is not working, then the same thing will be happening in case of atria. So atria will be generating impulses earlier than junction. So junctional node didn't achieve its threshold potential yet, but it will receive a stimulus from atria. Similarly, they will receive a stimulus from ventricle, will be receiving a stimulus from junction. Okay, so because the superior nodes will be beating at faster rate, that's why they will be acting as a source of stimulus for the inferior node, and that's why inferior node will always be beating at the same rate as the superior one. So this is what happens in normal circumstances, and this is how all the pacemakers of the heart work. First SA node, then atria, then junction, then ventricle, depending upon their rate. So now let's take this picture again, and I will take this. I think this is the best time to explain about ectopic beats and escape rhythms. So first of all, take escape rhythm. So let's say this was our SA node, which is our chairman. So SA node was beating at the rate of 100 again. So let's say SA node generated this impulse which generated ECG like this, and then SA node stopped beating due to any reason. Our chairman died or left. So when SA node will stop beating after generating this impulse will not be there. So what will happen? Let's look at this ECG area. So SA node was here. The next beat was supposed to come exactly under this, but we didn't have any depolarization, so we will not be having this beat, and there will be a delay, until we have a threshold potential of any other tissue. So the next tissue which can get a threshold potential is the atria. So atria will get a threshold potential, but after a little bit delay, and then it will generate an impulse which was here and which will be seen in ECG like this. So this thing, and after the generation of this impulse, two things can happen. Either the SA node will wake up, it will cause SA node to take the control again, and the heart will start beating at the rate of SA node. Or in case SA node is totally shut down, our chairman is died and it is no longer working, then what will happen? Atria will totally take control, and after that the heart will be beating according to the rate of atria, and SA node will be totally gone. So this type of beat which comes after the normal scheduled beat will be called as escape rhythm. So this was an escape rhythm. So escape rhythm is when why it is escape rhythm? Because it escapes our heart from dying. I will explain later on. So our beat was scheduled over here, but it was a little bit delayed, and then the next beat came from the atria, and again we had another heartbeat, and this was the escape rhythm. And if the next beat comes from atria, we will call it as atrial escape. If the next beat will come from the junction, we will call it as junctional escape. And if the next beat will come from the ventricle, we will call it as ventricular escape. Whoever will generate impulse at the time, it will be atrial, junctional or ventricular escape rhythm according to that. And after any escape rhythm, there will be two options. Either the SA node will be reset and SA node will start working again, or if SA node is totally gone, then that escape rhythm will take control of the heart, and heart will start beating according to that pacemaker. If it is atria, it will be beating at the rate of 60 to 80. In case of junction, 40 to 60. In case of ventricle, less than 50. So this is called escape rhythm, which comes after the normal scheduled beat. And let's say our in an extreme example, our atria is also not working. Then what will happen? AV node will be generating impulse at this point. There will be a more delay, and if AV node is also not working, then ventricle, there will be too much delay, will be generating impulse over here. And if ventricle is also not working, so what will happen? No one is working, there will be asystole and there will be death. So these rhythms are called escape rhythm because these rhythms escape our heart from dying. That is why they are called escape rhythms. Escape rhythm will be later or delayed or after the scheduled normal beat. And now let's study about what are the premature beat. And premature rhythm or premature complexes will be when it is before the scheduled beat. So sometimes what happened? This was our SA node or chairman. This was our vice chairman. So sometimes vice chairman might become overexcited and it will generate impulse earlier than what was scheduled. Or sometime even some of the staff will become overexcited and it will generate impulse earlier than when it was supposed to generate. So in this, and there can be multiple reasons. There will be electrolyte abnormalities or ischemia or infarction or any injury, anything, any stimulus, if it comes to atria or AV node, junctional area or ventricle, which will cause them to beat earlier than expected, then what will happen? Our beat will be here. So normal, our heartbeat was supposed to come at this point, but if it came earlier, this will be called as premature complex. In case of atria, it is premature atrial complex. In case of junction, it will be premature junctional complex. And in case of ventricle, it will be premature ventricular complex. Sometimes these are also called ectopic rhythms or extrasystole, because these are some extra beats. And usually they are not very important. If they are not too frequent, they are not very important. They are just due to some hyperexcitability of some of the tissue, and they are not clinically important. But if they are frequent, then they need workup, for especially to look for electrolyte imbalances. So this was all about escape rhythms and premature beats. So let's give you, first I will give you some examples. Let's take these 4 ECGs and let's study. So first take this one. So this was our normal beat, again normal beat, again normal beat. Then see what happened. This beat came earlier than expected. Our expected beat was almost over here, right? Because this was a regular rhythm. So our normal beat was expected at this area, but this beat came earlier than expected. So that is why this is the premature beat. Okay, this is premature atrial or premature junctional. I'm not going into this detail as now, but at least you know that this is a premature beat. Similarly, let's see this one. So these were our normal beats, and then our next normal beat was supposed to come over here, but this beat came earlier than this. If this beat came earlier than this is also the premature beat. And this premature is because the QRS complex is wide, so we know that wide QRS complex will be premature ventricular complex. Whenever there is wide QRS complex, the beat is coming from the ventricle. I explained at the start of this video. Third ECG. What is happening over here? This was our normal beat, normal beat, normal beat, and then there is a delay. Okay, then there is a delay, and after the delay there is a beat, and this beat is not like this. This is different, and this is wide. So this is escape rhythm first, and from where it is coming, it is ventricular escape rhythm. And after this single one beat, it reset the atria again, and then again our old beats start to come. And sometime what happen, if SA node was not working, then the ventricular escape rhythm, it can continue. Let's take this last example. What was happening? Normal beat, normal beat, normal beat, and then here you see there is a delay. Our normal beat was supposed to come at this point, but there is a delay, and after the delay we have an escape beat, and this beat is look like the same. So it might be atrial or junctional escape. Okay, it is not ventricular escape because QRS is not wide. So it will be atrial or junctional escape. And what happened after that? Our heart rate becomes slowed down because our SA node is totally shut down in this case, and that specific junctional or atrial node took control of the heart, and it start beating at its own rate, maybe at the rate of 80, and maybe it was at the rate of 100 before. Okay, so this is how this escape rhythms and SA node and different nodes work. Now the last thing which I want to explain are different tachyarrhythmias which are associated with these. So in case of escape rhythms, we know that we have SA node, atria, then we have junction, and then we have ventricle. So in case of SA node, we have sinus tachycardia or sinus bradycardia if it is more than 100 or less than 60 beats per minute, because SA node was generating at the rate of 60 to 100. So there can be sinus tachy or sinus brady. In case of atria, again there may be atrial tachycardia or atrial bradycardia, again if it is more than 100 or less than 60. In case of junctional or ventricular rhythms, we have 3 different categories. The first one is junctional escape rhythm. Whenever there is junctional escape rhythm, the heart rate will be 40 to 60 beats per minute. And if our heart rate is between 60 to 100, we will call it as accelerated junctional rhythm. If the heart rate is between 60 to 100 beats and the impulse is coming from the junction, it is called accelerated junctional rhythm. And if the heart rate is more than 100 and impulse is coming from junction, then it is called as junctional tachycardia. Similarly, for the ventricle, if the heart rate is less than 50, it will be ventricular escape rhythm. If the heart rate is from 50 to 110, it will be accelerated ventricular rhythm or accelerated idioventricular rhythm. The heart rate will be from 50 to 100, and if the heart rate is more than 110, it will be ventricular tachycardia. So in all the ventricular rhythm, we know that our QRS will be wide. So if we have wide QRS complex and it is generating from some focus in the ventricle and the rate is more than 110, we will call it as ventricular tachycardia. So this was all about different pacemakers, escape rhythm, premature beats, and junctional rhythm and tachycardia and ventricular tachycardia. This was